everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful fall in Salt Lake City,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, a celebration.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our anniversary.
Yeah.
We've been doing this show
7 years.
7 years, which
Sometime this week.
which in internet
False.
years is like 459, I think.
So
500
the rule is dog years plus 10.
dog years plus. Sure, that's right. We are older than dogs. So we'll be not doing a retrospective, but we have stuff to talk about. But before we do that, why don't you talk about what's happening out there in the world?
Yeah, sure. Some hope for astronomy, Dan.
Oh, good. I'm a fan of astronomy.
There's a mountain on the Big Island out in Hawaii.
Sure.
Right. It's the peak of Mauna Kea, where there are a lot of telescopes.
Oh,
like
sure.
Really like high powered, state of the art. I believe it's one of those super dark places.
Right. It's very clear skies, and because a lot of those peaks stay above the clouds in the islands. I think
that's an interesting detail.
Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, this has been a sought after place to put some of the best telescopes on the planet, and there was some question as to whether they were going to be able to continue to do this, even though the local government was giving the go ahead and so forth and so on. All the agencies that would have some say in the placement of this up on that peak. However, in recent decades, the native Polynesian people have started to. There's been a sort of resurgence of awareness about their traditional religions.
Right. I think we talked about this at one point.
I believe we did. So this is a bit of a follow-up story. But they've become more aware of a lot of the cultural significance of the different places on these islands.
Right.
And this specific peak is sacred to them. And there's a lot of cultural artifacts up there.
Because reasons.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah. Okay.
It's an interesting balancing act, right? Like, what is our level of respect for indigenous religions and cultures versus our just need to explore the universe that we live in?
I mean, like, I have a lot of respect when you hold an idea sacred or whatever, but when it's like a plot of land, that's weird to me. Anyway.
It makes it a little bit more difficult. But the Supreme Court of Hawaii has given the go-ahead for the telescope to be built.
Okay.
The case was a convoluted case. Issues that were brought up in opposition to the telescope ranged from whether the original annexation of Hawaii was constitutional. Okay. So therefore, can this state government actually
this isn't even
give
a state
permission? Right. Like, this doesn't, but we don't even recognize
that's not going to fly in the court of the state that they're talking about.
And then they also were questioning whether the judge, who was acting more as a mediator, because it was a retired judge, but whether or not her family's relationship to a planetarium constituted a conflict of interest. But at the end of the day, logic and reason prevailed. But after actually coming to an interesting agreement with those in opposition to this telescope being there in the first place, they are actually going to... One of the issues is these telescopes, the facilities get built, and even once the telescope becomes obsolete, the facility just stays up on the mountain or out in whatever remote place it is.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to decommission and remove all 3 telescopes up on that mountain.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to close an access road that's going to undergo rehabilitation to return the area back to its natural state.
Huh.
So it seems like a win for both sides, to be honest. If nobody was using those telescopes, or if they just weren't scientifically significant anymore or whatever,
they got to
get them out of there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just junking up the scenery anyway.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing.
Or turn it into like a park, like a playground. That's what I say. Those giant dishes, you could like maybe a skate park. That'd be really fun.
Oh yeah, because of all the kids who live in the neighborhood.
Yeah, totally.
There's a reason why they're out where they're at, Dan. They're remote.
Yeah. So only the coolest kids can go.
Oh, okay, I see. You have to like chop her in.
Yeah. It's great. I'm going to take us to Russia/Ukraine. I'm giving an update because I talked a month or two ago, a few months ago, about an impending possible schism in the Orthodox Church.
Oh dear God!
In the Orthodox Christian Church.
Brace yourself, everyone.
Because Ukraine has been asking, the Ukraine Church has been asking for its own patriarchate within Orthodoxy.
Oh.
Because they've been under the Russian patriarchate for the longest time. Now, the Russian Orthodox Church is the largest of the Orthodox Christian churches. Mm-hmm. They have like half.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, they're huge.
Wow.
And they've overseen the Ukraine part of the church for hundreds of years.
Oh, okay.
But now that Ukraine has has pulled away from Russia and is no longer and is its own country, and especially since Russia started attacking Ukraine and annexing parts of it that they had no business annexing,
right?
Ukrainians are sort of defensively, I think, annoyed and don't want to be under Russian rule.
Right.
Don't want their church to be under Russian rule.
Okay.
Because the church was also like, the Russian church was disseminating sort of Russian propaganda, and the Russian church is inextricably tied in with the Russian government.
Yeah, it's
they
gross.
they are in bed with each other. So the Ukrainians went to what they call Constantinople, which is funny. Like, this church still calls it Constantinople, even though it's Istanbul.
Wow.
In Turkey.
That's
where the ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew is still the leader of. He's like the first among equals, is what they always say. But
okay.
he doesn't have a lot of power.
Right.
But one of the powers that he does have is the power to give a country like Ukraine its own patriarchate.
Oh, interesting.
And he seems to have decided to do that.
Good for him.
And now that is so. But the Russians,
strangely, he woke up dead somewhere.
Right. The Russians have been threatening that if this happens, they will. There will be a schism. They will depart from this communion.
Oh.
So it seems like that's what's going to happen.
Wow.
They're going to schiz. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing a major schism of a major world religion.
Fascinating.
In our time.
Amazing.
It's like Nicaea all over again.
Is that what happened in Nicaea?
Was it Nicaea? I think
Nicaea was where
Nicaea wasn't the one. There was a small.
Decided on the Trinity.
There were
Nicaea.
small schisms in Nicaea. Well, they also decided. They also sort of canonized the Bible as we know it.
Oh,
in Nicaea. But
Nicaea, it
was a big one. That was an
important.
Yeah, but
important
I think
place.
It was later that the East and the West actually separated out.
Oh, okay.
The Orthodox versus the Catholic. Huh. The Greek versus the Latin. Anyway, that's where we're at. We got Moscow pulling away. They're not going to listen to no Turks anymore, I guess. So there you go.
Well, there you go, Dan. This story. There is a man by the name of Mark Harris who is running for Congress in North Carolina. And this is a competitive race.
Oh,
This
okay.
is one of them where it's a toss-up.
Wow.
Legitimately, nobody knows who's going to win at this point.
And we should say that we're recording before.
Right.
But you guys know the answers. We,
Of course.
Frank and Dan,
You can look it up.
we're in your past.
Feel free, in fact. Look
and
it
we
up,
don't
find
know
out
the
who
answers
actually
to any of these.
ends up winning
Yeah.
between a fairly reasonable Democrat and Mark Harris, who was once a Baptist pastor and then resigned last year to run for office. He is on record as saying this after a trip to the Holy Land. CNN did some digging, and they dug up some stuff he said back in 2011.
Okay.
He says, Jesus, when he went into Jerusalem, said, I am the vine. I am the true vine. And until those that are called in Islam, this is no longer Jesus' words, and until those that are called in Islam realize that, and until those that are called in Judaism realize that, for that matter, until those that are caught in the religion of Christianity and are missing the personal relationship with Jesus Christ realize that, there'll never be peace in their soul or peace in their city, right?
Right.
And so he says you cannot be in that land, as powerful and moving as it is, without realizing the incredible tension that is constantly in that land between the Palestinians and the Jews. There will never be peace in Jerusalem until the day comes that every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord.
Okay, now, first of all, knees don't bow. That's not how bowing works.
Well,
So he needs to get his act together on that point. You can bend your knees when you bow, but that's not what bowing is.
well, okay, Dan.
But
Okay.
yeah, you got to love the Christian take on Jerusalem, which is basically, hey Jews, you can hold it for a while,
Right.
but it's going to be ours.
It'll be ours because you'll become one of us.
Right. Jews / Muslims. You guys keep arguing about it if you have to. And we'll back those Jews.
Right.
But only because they're going to give it up to us when they see our Lord and Savior descend onto their Mount of Olives.
And then it's going to be nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Yeah.
You should have listened sooner. We're going to give you one last chance.
Right. If they give them the last chance.
May probably not.
They're
kind of...
The anti-Semitism is... You and I were talking about this earlier today.
Yeah.
I was blithely unaware of how deep the anti-Semitism in this country was running.
Yeah, this is
because they've been masking it under words that I didn't know were code words for so long. But like New World Order, Deep State, George Soros, all of these ideas are just blatant hatred of Jews.
Yeah, absolutely.
They stem from blatant anti-Semitism, and all of these evangelical Christians are doing it.
Right.
They love Israel and fucking hate Jews.
Yeah, they legitimately do.
I mean, it's that fucking
guy,
Mike Pence thing where where at a rally where they needed, right after a shooting in a synagogue,
right,
where they needed to reach out and say to the Jewish populace of this country, we support you, we're here for you, we're sorry. Right. He has that fucking Jew for Jesus asshole come and say a prayer. Jews for Jesus, FYI, are not Jews.
Right.
They are asshole Christians who want to claim Jewish heritage.
Right.
It's the worst thing he could have done.
Right.
So
yeah.
furious.
Yeah. So here is a man running for office, blatantly, not during the campaign, but is on record, with very anti-Semitic beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's rough.
Yeah, but in North Carolina, isn't that just going to be okay?
Right, but this guy's dressed up as a pastor running for office. Nobody's going to question it.
No, but I think in North Carolina, they understand that a pastor is an anti-Semite. They like that. Like that's...
But I think you were just saying, though, Dan, that the broader community, right, has had a hard time identifying exactly where anti-Semitism has existed in this country.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we need to be more aware of this, clearly.
Yeah.
In light, after that synagogue, was shot up by a blatantly anti-Semitic Semitic man,
right?
Who picked that synagogue specifically because they had a tradition of being a very pro refugee community,
right? They were participating in a group that was pro refugee. Yeah.
So like, there was a lot going on there with that atrocity, with that mass shooting.
Yeah. The thing that I love about all of these hateful people feeling emboldened by our horrible president, is that at least it's out in the open. At least I can see it. I'm not deluding myself anymore.
Yeah, but if by being out in the open, it means that they are shooting up synagogues.
Right. I don't. Yes.
Right.
It's
like
horrific.
I'd like them to go back under their rock at this point.
Right.
Because we've both we have expressed this repeatedly on the show. Finally, we're aware of it. Right. Well, I was aware of it last week to a certain level. I didn't need to be as aware, I guess, as I am now.
Right.
Or I should have been as aware as I am now without a synagogue having to have been shot up.
Yes.
And
correct.
It's
not good.
That's not good.
Well, I'm gonna talk about a story that is also about Jews, and a claim of anti-religious treatment by a school.
Oh, okay.
A Jewish family is suing to get their kid into a school in New York.
Okay.
Because the school won't admit their child because their child is unvaccinated, and the school has a policy that all their children have to be vaccinated.
Great.
There's apparently been measles around. There's a little bit of an outbreak happening, and they're not admitting this 4-year-old into their school.
Okay.
Well, the family is the parents, Shalom and Esther Lane, submitted a request for a religious exemption. There is provision in the state for religious exemption for strongly held religious beliefs or whatever.
Okay.
But this school is denying them. And they are claiming that is religious, that they're being religiously persecuted. The Shyamalan twist on this one, however, is that the school that they're trying to get into is Yeshiva Olohai Torah.
Oh, wow.
An Orthodox Jewish school that happens to require vaccines.
And they're Orthodox Jews?
And they're Orthodox Jews.
Then, deny the hell out of that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. They are literally claiming that they're being persecuted for their genuine and sincere religious beliefs.
I think that
by people who have the same genuine and sincere religious beliefs, except for that one vaccination thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you be rogue? Can you be a church of one?
Right
on these things, and then just have a sincerely held belief on any old thing you want?
It seems like that's what they're. I mean, lots of people have claimed this shit.
Right, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Although
it should be something that is actually taught by the religious community that you belong to.
I don't know.
And actually, I don't even think the thing should, religious exemptions. Fuck you.
Right. But I gotta say, could there be a more American concept than religion of one? Could there be a more?
Well, we've had an army of one.
Well, that's right. Every soldier in our army is an army, at least according to
a marketing campaign.
To that old marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels that sense of rugged individualism. It's sort of Ayn Randian in its religiosity, although she was an atheist.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Well, Dan, I've got a story of somebody who found her way out of what was going to be a life spent in a convent.
Oh.
She was training. She'd started training to be a nun. As a young woman, she moved into. She lived in a convent from the age of 10 to 18.
Oh my God.
After nuns had visited her school, right? So then she
On a recruiting trip or something?
I guess so.
Wow.
She decides that she's going to sign up and become a nun. And she was there in the convent, and then she fell in love with one of her teachers and decided that that career path wasn't the one for her.
Because love conquers all.
And so she left the convent and then ended up meeting a man who was recruiting for webcam girls.
She is prone to recruitment.
Yeah. That's true.
She is susceptible to recruitment.
So she attended a casting session.
Nice.
And has become a webcam girl.
Okay.
So
in case my mom's listening, Mom, a webcam girl is someone who shows her body
right
on the internet for money.
I'm sure this is not the first time that this has ever happened. But boy, she's fallen far from where she started.
From nunnery?
She said in a recent interview that there's nothing bad about her new job. I would agree with that.
Sure.
That's fine. She described it as decent and artistic. She said at first she was feeling a little bad, but now I feel fine with it. I also feel good when I go to church. I never miss Friday prayers, Saturday meetings, or Sunday mass.
Huh.
She said she also now enjoys masturbation and pornography.
Well, she better, because she's involved deeply in both.
The story
Wow.
doesn't have much more than that. I just came across it this morning and was just like, oh my God.
You got to love the, yeah. Something
The
tells
story
me.
of Yudi Pineda in Colombia.
Okay. I mean,
Look her up.
if you got it, flaunt it, I guess. I mean, what's funny is that the part of her story that I support is the part I'm definitely not supposed to support. If you ask any good moral person or whatever, like, I'm great. Go do your sex work. That's awesome. Just don't stop going to the church.
I know. I love
What
that.
are you doing?
Right? What?
Don't go to the church. It's the worst thing you can do.
She's fine. She's got it all figured out. She performs on camera, right? And then
Showing what God give her.
it's a blessing.
Just jiggling everything that God saw fit to throw onto her.
Yeah. A real blessing. That's how she gets to make her living, right?
Yeah.
And she can go to church. She gets the best of both worlds. The two do not need to be mutually exclusive. She grew up in that world. You're telling me she can't keep going to church on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays?
And you know she learned some of that in that convent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she did. Those dirty, dirty convents.
I don't like any of this, Dan. Let's move on.
She went from being a novice to a pro. That's
Wow.
literally what happened.
Yeah.
All right. For my final thing, again, it's election stuff. So you guys know the answer. You guys are ahead of me on this one.
Right.
But I didn't know this until today, or until I saw this article. So I'm going to just point out that, because some of you may have missed it entirely, Alabama has a ballot proposal on, which is Amendment 1. This is a proposed amendment to their state constitution.
Oh, nice.
That is being voted on in this election.
Okay.
Which basically is we're going to put the 10 Commandments on every damned building
Jesus
that the state owns. Amendment.
It's putting it in their constitution.
They want to make a constitutional amendment. Now, this runs just ever so slightly contrary to another document called a constitution that is the United States Constitution.
I mean the one that supersedes theirs?
The one that supersedes everything
Right.
in these United States. So, boy, I mean, all it will do is just trigger a flurry of lawsuits. But, of course, they're doing it knowing
Right.
that the conservatives have been stacking the states, the United States Supreme Court,
right,
with a bunch of religious nutballs. So
great.
Hard to say how that would turn out. And I don't know. I looked actually for some polling on this amendment to see how it was doing. Couldn't find any. Apparently, Alabama doesn't know how to do polling.
It doesn't surprise me.
So that'll be fun. I'm going to guess that it passes, but we'll see.
Ugh. Alabama, why?
Yeah.
Why are you this way?
Yeah. Well, Jesus.
If it's not Alabama, it's Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
your beloved state of Oklahoma loves to play these games.
Oklahoma loves to get in these waters and splash about.
Yeah. I mean, but this is the state of Roy Moore, who tried to put he paid for a 10 Commandments to go up in the courthouse of his own will, and then they took it down, and he got kicked out of the Supreme Court, and then he got reelected right back onto it, and then got kicked out again.
Yeah.
This is the land of that business. They are Alabama is it's a dumb place. I'm sorry, all you Bammans. Maybe it's beloved, but
Poor Alabama.
Bunch of ding dongs. All right. Well, if you have anything you'd like to say, if you want to call and yell at us for bitching about the South again, you can do that too. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you could call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we'll let you in. Also, check out Reddit, reddit.com/r/TGIAtheist.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Rick Wiles.
Oh, we love Rick Wiles.
He's been a go-to for us lately.
He's a good soldier for Christ. That one
over there on that so-called True News.
True News. With a name like that, it's got to be good.
Yeah, they don't even bother to spell out the word true, so you know it must be true.
Yeah. It's true in the same way that something that's spelled CHEEZ is cheese.
Or crab with a K.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. He's got some... he doesn't necessarily agree with all the right-wing commentators out there. He's a man of his integrity, right?
Sure. I guess.
So here he is chiming in on Ben Shapiro.
Oh, my.
But not all conservatives are questioning that this could be a false flag. One prominent pseudo-conservative, Ben Shapiro. Let me tell you what little Ben said. He said that he's condemning the false flag theories. He said, quote, "If your first reaction to some evil person sending bombs to a variety of politicians on one side of the aisle is false flag, you are officially deranged."
Right.
Ben Shapiro, why are there any Christians listening to Ben Shapiro? Why are there any conservatives listening to Ben Shapiro? First of all, as a Christian, you need to know this. Ben Shapiro openly denies the deity of Jesus Christ. He says as a Jew, he has no reason to need a Christian Savior. Those are his words.
Yes.
Okay? I don't know why any Christian is reading and following Ben Shapiro. He has a spirit of Antichrist.
Oh, Ben Shapiro.
He has a spirit of Antichrist is a very interesting way of saying he is Jewish. Because that's all he's saying.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we talked about anti-Semitism before.
Yeah.
This is just blatant, don't believe him.
He's a Jew.
Don't
even listen to him.
Don't even listen to it.
He's a Jew.
I mean, and what we're talking about is one of the farthest right conservative. Like Ben Shapiro's voice is like hailed as on the far right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's less a conservative and more just a nationalist, which is sort of on that conservative spectrum. But
Yeah. But, you know, he comes out, says something reasonable, because all the idiots like Rick Wiles were just running to this whole false flag thing.
right. And
Right,
for those
like-
who don't know, false flag is just like what they're claiming is that these pipe bombings that were happening were
Staged by the Dems.
the Democrats were sending pipe bombs to themselves,
right.
so that they could drum up sympathy for the
Blame it on the Republicans.
doesn't work, not logical,
Right.
smoke coming out of your ears. It's just crazy.
It was amazing because before, like, the dust had even settled, these claims were coming out and they were being repeated in sort of the mainstream conservative media.
Yeah.
It was wild. Like, it
was-
came out so fast.
Yeah.
The false flag claims are this is fringe shit.
It's
Right.
wild conspiracy theory nonsense. It's insanity.
Right. And so Ben Shapiro was just coming out and saying, hey, listen, like,
Don't be a nut job.
Yeah. Like, just essentially, even if it is a conservative person sending the bombs in, it doesn't mean anything about conservatism. Just like if some nut job liberal did the same thing, it doesn't mean anything about liberalism.
Right. Well,
Right.
and what's funny is that when Ben Shapiro is saying you've gone too far, wow.
But Rick Wiles is saying, no, I'm going to go that far.
Yeah. Rick Wiles is saying that guy doesn't go far enough. That dirty Jew.
Yeah. Shut up, Jew.
Oh my God.
That's Dan.
That is a level of crazy
Yeah.
that is hard to achieve.
Yeah.
He has leveled up. Doodling. I feel like that is a achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
Super crazy.
But it's like it's kind of a bizarro thing, and I don't know if it's just this moment, or if it's just what we're looking at. But it's like you take off the blinders to anti-Semitism in this country, right? And it's just like, holy shit, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even trust you. I think you're probably.
Whatever.
Oh my goodness. We had some folks write into us and call into us, and
Indeed.
I think we'll talk about it. Now, one of the things that we haven't yet talked about since we first talked about it was our discussion of Mary in the Park. There's the the statue in my neighborhood of the Virgin Mary, cleverly titled Lupita the Woman, which I think is an attempt to get around the whole this is a religious symbol thing.
Right.
But it doesn't get around it. And then there was your thing, which was a tree in your neighborhood that had the image of Mary, theoretically, I guess. It was just a swirly thing, appear in a knot in the tree. And then they built a big thing a big staircase that you can walk up to see it, and a little shrine.
People come and adore the tree.
So we had some people comment and write into us. This is from Jules in Brisbane, Australia, who says, "Hi, Frank and Dan. First, a big thanks for being your awesome selves and doing such a fine job on the podcast. Regarding your conundrum, it seems to me that the problem in your mind is a matter of scale, in that it's a small park that has minimal footprint or impact. In Frank's example, I think there's nothing to protest, as the central issue is of natural origins, and neither the apparition in the tree nor the secondary infrastructure have had any public involvement or intention in its development or funding provided toward it. If the local religious community is footing the bill for their ad hoc shrine and it doesn't otherwise impede public order or ability for the general public to access and enjoy the facilities, then I see no problem. However, in Dan's example, I see an issue worthy of protest regardless of scale, and particularly because of the implied deception in the naming of the sculpture to pass off religious iconography as innocent. To alleviate the matter of scale, what I suggest is that you try to find as many other similar examples around the city as you can find. If you then approach the city as a class action type protest involving several separate examples, you may resolve the issue of scale and the conundrum about the opportunity cost associated with the use of your time.
Right.
If you also go so far as to include a proposal that if they decide they wish to keep the present sculpture, then they should consider a clearly Baphomet Satan-inspired sculpture to occupy the parks that could be called something benign like Steve. I like that. It all sounds like a lot of work, and I don't know if you've got the time or energy. Maybe the Satanic Temple or Fufurf could assist you in finding examples of parks around the city. Best of luck, from Jules. Yeah. The problem is I don't know of any other examples. The reason that this was so alarming to me was that our city seems, for the most part, delightfully free of religious iconography in public spaces.
Outside of, I mean, it's not a public space, but outside of the massive piece of iconography downtown.
Right. Downtown Salt Lake City is kind of dominated by religious iconography.
But it's on private land.
It's on church-owned property.
Yeah.
So that's different.
And they even like walked the big Brigham Young statue back onto their property.
Right.
Back a decade or two ago.
Yeah.
That used to be in the middle of the block. Although he did found the fucking city and state. So
I mean, even that to me is not a
statue
problem.
Of Brigham Young out there.
He was a governor of the territory and
stuff. I guess I really can't think of anything else. It would be interesting to go visit a few, or maybe this is even better because we know we have a lot of listeners in the Salt Lake Valley and probably in Salt Lake itself. Do any of you know of a park in your neighborhood that has something borderline on it?
Yeah, let us know. Write into us and let us know if there are other religious symbols and icons the city in city or state owned land.
The city owns Gilgal Park now.
Gilgal
being
Gardens
preserved as a cultural artifact, which is interesting.
But I almost
should explain Gilgal Park.
Well, it's a sculpture garden made by a crazy person.
Yeah, back 50 years ago or whatever.
It's eminently delightful, and I would be horrified if it was taken down.
Right, exactly.
Because
it's got like Joseph Smith's face on a sphinx,
and it's got scriptures everywhere.
Yeah, Mormon and non.
Yeah,
but it's all under the guise of Mormonism.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was a Mormon, and he made this thing. It used to be privately owned, and then the city kind of took it over. But to me, the city
took it over to save it. Like, it was under real risk of going away. Yeah. And it is the most bizarro, weird thing. Oh my God!
If you haven't visited it and you're in Salt Lake City, it's so worth a visit.
Yeah,
it's so nutty. But yeah, I mean, that's
technically there's all this religious iconography.
Yeah.
All over that, and the whole point of the park is that it's a sculpture garden that testifies to it's this one man's testament,
Mormon Jesus,
to Mormon theology.
It's so Mormonism, weird. Man. I would be devastated if that went away, though. I mean,
it probably just shouldn't be in public hands.
Maybe I guess so.
But I mean, that's the most striking example I can think of.
Yeah. I just don't know.
I bet there's others, Dan. I bet you anything there are others.
And then what do you do about, like, I love Gilgal and I want access to it, and I love going there. Sometimes I'll have a lunch there. I'll just go have lunch there.
Seriously?
Yeah, sure. Because I think it's hilarious. That place is so goofball. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to say what should happen there. Because it does have a cultural history component to it for Utah.
Well, but there's also the whole thing that Mormons don't really claim it so much.
No,
because it's so fucking weird, right? And so it's more like the non-Mormon and ex-Mormon community who understand it and appreciate it, that want it to stay because we want to preserve how fucking weird this piece of Mormon history is.
I genuinely don't know what to do about that one. I am baffled because I love it way more than the Mormons do.
Uh-huh.
How do we square that circle? Oh, why'd you bring that one up? Now I'm just baffled. I am literally just baffled.
Sorry,
we have a voicemail on the same subject, don't we?
Not Gilgal Garden, but on the topic of getting religious crap off of public property. Yeah, we do.
Hey guys, I'm just calling in regards to your question about should atheist groups and non-religious groups fight the special accommodations for like the public religious statues and everything, like the one of the tree and the other one. I think 100% yes, absolutely. Yes, they sound like very, very minor things, but if you allow any little exception that you allow, you give them an inch, they take a yard. I mean, look what they're doing with Masterpiece Cake. That specifically applies only to Masterpiece Cake in that one case, but they're trying to say, well, guess what? We don't have to do anything for people that we disagree with religiously. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.
It's
a good point.
How do you say no when you allow it in one place?
Yeah, when we've said, hey, this statue of the Virgin Mary is fine in this park, and then some, because it's a little park and it's tucked away and nobody ever goes to it.
Right.
Then somebody else goes, hey, I want to put a cross up in this park.
Right.
And we say no. They just go, well, look over there. Why was that one okay for so many years?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
I know.
I'm still not convinced to take action, but I'm getting there. Yeah. Like, I don't know what to do. Maybe we need to have someone from the FUFR come on the show and talk us through it.
It could be interesting.
Yeah, we might need to do that. Anyway, so we got another Australian writing into us.
Oh, we hit a chord in Australia.
Yeah, well, this is Jim from Canberra.
Okay.
We should go to Australia. Somebody in Australia bring us out. That'd be fun.
Sure.
We don't have enough patrons to go out on our own right now, but somebody bring us in. Anyway, hi, Frank and Dan. Recently, I had the fortune of visiting France, crossing beautiful southern French towns and villages. Among them was the town of Lourdes, which you might recall is a very famous locality of where the Catholic Church managed a spring of crystal clear water rising from a grotto, where a young girl, Bernadette Subrius, in 1858, witnessed an apparition of the Virgin Mary. This apparition was thought to eventually lead to magical medical cures for all who visit the area. Being an atheist and a skeptic, I thought I might have a go at asking for a permanent cure for my very old and painful football-related knee injury. As always, I am prepared to admit to a rethink about these things should the Virgin Mary make an appearance. Well, it didn't happen.
Oh, no.
Boo. I was hoping for your knee.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to join a church at that point, but
was he really sincere? Come on.
Mary says no. Anyway, he goes on, I came away from Lourdes terribly saddened as I witnessed hundreds of profoundly disabled and ill people of all ages. So many in wheelchairs, on mobile cots. Others were the walking wounded, waiting in turn to visit the magical H2O.
Wow.
I felt an overwhelming sorrow for those poor people, those poor ill and disabled people, this probably being their last and only dream of a cure. For some, the experience may have been of some advantage that I don't know. Humans live and hope, I guess, no matter how difficult life becomes. Perhaps Lord does serve some purpose. So many ill and desperate people feel that there is a chance for a better, healthier future life, for a better, healthier future life for each who waits so patiently in line. However, many, I believe, would leave bitterly disappointed. What do you guys think? From Jim. Yeah, one wonders about that because there is something to providing a sense of hope and a sense of, and you know, there's probably a lot of people who walk away with some sort of feeling that they were healed a little bit or whatever. Just that's, you know, from the placebo thing.
Perhaps. I mean, depending on what it is, placebo can't, you know.
It can't restore spinal functionality or whatever.
Like, oh, that it could.
Right.
You know.
Right. But I mean, yeah, I don't think it's good. Yeah. I think this hurts people. Yeah. I think that, you know, people will spend money to go there. They will put all of their hope into it, and they will have that hope dashed as And they'll walk away. Here's the other thing. This is the bullshit of faith healing. This is the bullshit of religious promises. Is that what happens when that promise is not kept, when Jesus doesn't follow through, is that the person is made to feel less than.
Yeah.
Because the person going is made to feel like, well, maybe my faith wasn't strong enough. And then they have to question themselves, and then they feel guilty and shitty about themselves for something that was never their fault, was never going to be a thing. But, if they confront their priest and say it didn't happen, their priest can just say, well, maybe your faith wasn't strong enough because you're defective.
Right.
And fuck that shit. I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
No to healing waters. That's what I say.
All right. Well, Dan, I've got a voicemail to play.
Okay.
This is from a listener who's actually got a couple things to say. One, she's become a new patron.
Woohoo!
But also, she, in reference to our conversation, brief conversation about Stephen Fry receiving an award for his atheism, and I think what she's responding to here is the fact that Richard Dawkins actually said he's basically our only celebrity. She has a response to that.
Oh, yes.
So,
hello, Frank and Dan. This is Michelle Bennett calling for 2 reasons. First, I can finally afford to be a patron, so I just did that. And second, quickly, a list of film, radio, and television atheists: Douglas Adams, Woody Allen, Robert Altman, Michelangelo Antonioni, Kevin Bacon, Richard Burton, James Cameron, George Carlin, Stanley Donen, Sergei Einstein, Ricky Gervais, of course, John Huston, Katharine Hepburn, Werner Herzog, that guy is awesome, Jamie Heineman, and Eddie Izzard, of course, Penn Jillette, who could forget him, Stanley Kubrick, Keira Knightley, Burt Lancaster, Hugh Laurie, you guys talked about him, Seth MacFarlane, yes, John Malkovich, Ian McKellen, Helen Mirren, Marilyn Monroe, Brad Pitt, Ridley Scott, Orson Welles, Gene Wilder, and I don't know why they didn't put him in here, but there's also that guy, Bill, and I'm drawing a blank on his last name, but you know who it is. Bill Maher. Anyway, love the show. Keep it up. Glad to be a patron. I'll hear this on the show. Later.
oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Michelle.
There you go. Lots of people. I mean, when you've got Brad Pitt on your side,
No kidding.
what can go wrong?
Nothing.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's actually a rather fantastic list of some of the absolute best. Right? I'm dead serious. Like Stanley Kubrick, right?
Sure.
Robert Altman. Woody Allen has some problems in his personal life, but damn, in his heyday, he could make a good movie.
As a film, you're appreciating this list as a film aficionado. That's how you love this list.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, awesome.
Sure.
That makes me happy.
Sure. And I'm sure that's just a list of people who've been willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which in our world is always an incomplete list.
Right, exactly.
Because there are plenty of people who just don't come out with that stuff.
Yeah.
For fear of alienating people. Anyway, thank you also for being a new donor.
Yeah, Michelle did what so many others have done, which is going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, clicking the support tab, and then signing up on Patreon.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and she came in at what level? She
came in at the venerable level.
Oh.
So thank you so much.
How we venerate you.
And we also have another patron to thank this week.
Yeah.
Cassandra.
Ooh.
Also a new venerable listener. And
so venerable, these people.
and then, of course, as always, we do need to thank our top donor,
Our Lord and Savior.
the creme de la creme, Jenny!
Hooray for Jenny. Yes. And we bless all of you in the name of the things and the people and the stuff. Amen.
Amen. Dan,
Oh, Frank.
happy anniversary.
It is our anniversary. We have been doing this. I think I've mentioned this to you. This is the longest I've ever held a job. We've been doing this for 7 years.
I know. It's kind of crazy, Dan.
It's nuts, and I like it.
Yeah.
7 years is a long time for a podcast to have been
It's a long time for a podcast. It's also, when I think about where I was and what I was doing 7 years ago and what has gone down in my life in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
It's actually been a bit of life lived.
It's a lot.
And so it's like, wow, to have this sort of one constant that runs through all of that is kind of amazing.
Yeah, a weekly thing that we've done almost without fail.
Right, and there have been obviously times when one or the other of us has had to take, a week or two off here and there, or a little bit more of an extended thing here or there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that we've consistently, that Thank God I'm Atheist has consistently released every week, essentially for 7 years. 1 week did we miss?
Yeah, one or maybe two. There was that 1 week when you went away and I was going to do a thing, and then my computer farted out on me, and all I was able to do was just barely get a recording out that was like, I can't do it. It's not working.
Yeah. It's we made that commitment to each other and to the listeners right at the very beginning of it was going to be every single week.
Yeah.
That we would figure out vacations with guest hosts and whatnot. And I think
there was a period of 6 weeks or more when I went away to England and we recorded across the pond.
I know.
Amazing.
Crazy. And that was the first time we'd ever really fiddled around with anything long distance recording as well. So that was kind of a trick. But I think when you have done something this long, there's always the risk that it becomes de rigueur. Or
boring and stale.
That it's just what
Is this a wise thing for us to be bringing up right now?
No. What I'm leading to is the fact that sometimes you do need a reminder of why you do something.
Okay.
Right? Because again, we've carved out this time every week to get together, to make the recording, to post the show, and do all the little extra little things.
Do the research that we need to do for the show.
Everything, right? Like that we've gotten down, right? And it could be really easy in that to kind of forget what it is that we're doing and what we're trying to do, and the goals that we first set out when we started 7 years ago, and the goals that have evolved through time. So actually, we received a voicemail this week, and it just felt it's just such a nice and lovely a message that this listener is sending us.
Yeah.
That I don't know. It just seemed very fitting to play on an anniversary show as part of our anniversary.
Yeah,
segment.
It was in reference to an email or a voicemail that we listened or that we discussed on a past show.
Yeah.
And why don't you just play it?
Let's hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
Hi, Frank and Dan. I am calling from Virginia, where I can look out my window and see Liberty University. I've been listening to you guys for a couple of months now, and I actually wanted to comment on an episode you did, and it's been several weeks back, but someone had called in or written in and asked about coming out as an atheist and gay or both or either, and was asking you for advice. And I mean, I listen to the whole suite of atheist podcasts, and I have heard this question and answer a lot of times before, but the answer you guys gave was, to me, profoundly tender and empathetic. And you took a question that has been asked and answered many times, and treated it like it was coming from an individual that mattered. And one thing you said that I'd never heard before was that relationships heal. Like, when I've heard other people answer this question, they always say, like, well, are you safe and what is your goal? And you guys addressed that too, but you also said, most of the time you can rebuild that relationship even if it falls apart. And that was something I'd never heard before, and really touched me really deeply. And I wanted to call. It's been on my mind for a while now. I just wanted to call and say I really appreciate you guys. Despite the saturation of atheist podcasts out there, you guys are special and different, and I'm really glad that you do what you do, and I wanted to thank you for that.
Well, that is lovely.
That's really lovely.
I don't even know what to say. What a sweet thing. And you know what? That it actually points out something about the experience of having done this for so long, which is that the best part of this whole experience has been meeting and hearing from listeners who have a great experience and who enjoy what we do. Mm-hmm. They all have these amazing stories to tell about their own lives and stuff. When we went on our road trip through the South, which was funny because, at the time, I remember it felt like we were deep into our recording. Like we had been recording for a long time, and it was time to do something to shook it up.
Yeah.
And that was like 1 year in. Or whatever.
That. That was a bold move on our part.
Yeah, but we decided we just did a road trip to the South, and we met a bunch of people who were all over, and we should do something like that again.
We need to. We really do.
But yeah, we met people.
Just some weekend trips to some places.
Yeah, because you guys are the people that make this a thing that we enjoy doing, and that feels. I don't want to say important, but it feels like, this is our little voices, our little bit of activism out in the world.
Well, because I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm the one who edits the show, right? I'm the one, and by edit, we don't really edit the show. It's a fairly unedited thing, but bring all the pieces together,
right? Make
sure the music's at the right level and so forth and so on. Right. All the audio sounds good. And give it a good solid listen through. And it takes about 3.5 hours to do. And so I kind of have to find a different point in the week to put that together. Right. And when I'm running out of time, right, when I know that I'm up against my deadline for getting the show posted, there's two things in my head. One is just, there's a deadline.
Right.
And the other one is there are listeners out there who want to hear the show.
Yeah.
Right. And who are waiting for the show. And I have a sense of I've developed a sense of responsibility about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you guys are, it's so funny because we're just a couple of dopey guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like any show in the universe, TV, whatever, isn't composed of just people doing a thing.
Right.
But who the hell are we?
Right.
But we put together a thing and we put it out there, and it turns out that it connected with some folks.
Yeah.
And that connection is what's awesome about this.
And it's powerful. And so when you hear, I don't think she actually said her name in the message, but when you hear a message like this, it's meaningful.
Yeah.
And it means a lot. And so I just want to say thank you to this caller.
And
and say, that really, it meant a lot. And I really appreciate that you took that time, because it's good to hear.
And you know what? I think it's inspired me. I think I'm going to let go of this narrative that we're just two dopey guys, and I'm going to start to believe that we're very important people doing very important work out in the world.
Okay.
And making a difference.
We're witnessing it going to Dan's head. Right there.
I'm taking it there. It's not going. I'm specifically putting it there. So So anyway, we don't need to belabor the point, but 7 years is a long time, and we're still going strong and loving it. And you guys are the reason.
Going nowhere.
And thank you guys so much for your support and for your listening and for the 5-star reviews and all of the thing. It's great. And we, even if we don't get to hear your voices, we feel connected to you in hopefully similar ways to how you feel connected to us. And we thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
And you know what? Speaking of thanks, I have more people I want to thank.
Oh, do you now?
Yeah, well, because we've got this whole podcast that we've got a Facebook page.
Oh yeah,
which you can go and visit. I'm doing this all out of order. But it's fine. We've got a Facebook page, and it is all thanks to Mackenzie, who has been doing it for years.
Probably about 6 years or more.
I don't know how long.
She got in touch with us
pretty early on.
Maybe you guys don't know this story, but she got in touch with us and said, you guys don't know what you're doing on Facebook.
Fool that she is. She said, I volunteer. I'll just do that. And she's been doing it ever since.
Been going strong ever since.
She's built an amazing page that you guys should all go to Facebook and like.
Yeah.
And enjoy her work there. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
And our members only lounge also on Facebook is quite a remarkable place. And that's been I threw that up there. It cost me nothing,
right?
Except time,
right?
And it has built into an amazing community. But I didn't do it by myself. I also had Sarah and Danny and Amy who helped out, and all of the people who are on there who are amazing and who make sure that it stays a positive and supportive place. And I love that. So thank you guys so much. And
we've had this commitment of music since the very beginning.
Right.
You went to your friend who was in a gypsy jazz band and said, hey, I'm doing this thing. And he was just like, yeah, use it.
Again,
and not only just use
foolishly,
the one, use whatever you want to.
Yeah, he just said, go right ahead.
Yeah. And that's been amazing.
So thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club and to Rich Daigle for that.
Yeah.
And my cousin who's an actual organist in an actual church. Who I was like, hey, can I use your music for my atheist podcast? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. So Gordon Johnston, you're amazing. Thanks for that.
Let's see. What else have we got out there?
Well, we can tell people how they can reach us.
Yeah.
If you want to outpour your support for us, or if you want to just tell us we're dipshits and get my head back in gear, you can do either. Write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or there's our voicemail. You can call and leave a message there. It's 424-666-8442.
Yep. Hey, we
were very proud of that number when we first came up with it.
Oh, yeah. The 666 TGIA. Do you guys remember that? It's literally 666. Yeah.
And it's a Beverly Hills number, too. So
somehow that felt right. How
Thanks,
funny
Google.
Is that? Yeah, exactly. And thank you guys so much for 7 years of amazing.
Yeah.
And here's to more years.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.